How's it going, you lot? I'm just spending a little bit of time taking my Savage 21 apart, and I'm gonna reset the gearbox and just might have a little bit of a clean of it. I don't know yet, but that's what I'm gonna do. Got a little bit of time. Well, I say time to spare. I haven't actually got any time to spare. There's always 1,067,942,000,000.4 billion things to do, but I want to get this done so that I can put it away and I know that it's done, and then the next time I fancy having a go of it, I know that it's done. Luckily this has got one of the easier gearboxes in it, and we can just, but the only trouble is you have to take it out to adjust it, which is a bit of a pain, but it is what it is. I remember people seem to say that the wheels just fall off of these Savages easily, but I must say, I used this Savage from 2002 every single day up until probably about 2012, somewhere around there. So from 2002 to 2012, this was used every single day when I was in school, after school, you know, and in the 6 weeks holidays, my giddy aunt, I mean, it was constant. And I think the wheel came off once from my memory, because I didn't do the bolt up, because I've been playing around with it and I didn't do the bolt up. But I've never had, you see, the thing is, a lot of the trouble that people say that happens to any nitro car, I don't have for some reason. A lot of people say that the carburetors on the LRP ZR32 engines are no good. They don't hold a tune and all that kind of stuff. Well, my one seems to be alright. There's a lot of things that I just don't have the trouble with that other people seem to report. But, you know, my philosophy is go with what you see. Go with what happens to you. Don't worry about what happens to other people. It's much the same as when people compare themselves to other people, and then they become dissatisfied with themselves or with their own lives. Stop comparing things and yourself to other people. Don't try to become a copy of them. Be the best of you. And that goes on to this in the way of things are what they are. And if you don't encounter the problems with your nitro cars that other people say are problems, consider yourself lucky. Consider yourself whatever you want to consider yourself. But if you haven't come across those problems yet, don't worry about it. Don't complain about it. Nobody wants a problem. But everybody wants a problem. You'll notice that in life. Maybe you're of the age where you're already in life and you've already noticed it. But if you're not, and you're either younger than me or maybe my similar sort of age, you will start to notice that people don't want problems, but they do want the problems, because all they ever do is moan and complain that they haven't had the problems that other people have. To me, that doesn't make any sense. Perhaps it does to you, but it certainly doesn't to me. a lot of these bolts and screws on this Savage don't fit, and the heads are rounded because over the years they've fallen out, and when a bolt falls out I don't really replace it. I wait until another bolt falls out, and then the car starts to fall apart and becomes undrivable, and then I just replace the bolts with whatever I can find. And a lot of the time the ones I find on the side of the road, they're not exactly an exact fit, and they do cause a little bit of an issue sometimes if you ever want to take them out again. So I do try not to take them out. Once, you know, I'll try not to take anything apart unless I really have to, but sometimes you just really have to. We're nearly out now. There we go. I can come away from there. Oh, got a... How can I possibly forget about that? Jolly boy. I'm not going to be able to get to that Allen key. Let's have a look, see what we've got here. That's a 3mm. We don't want a 3mm. That's a 1.5. So we'll take that little grub screw out of there, and then take the brake linkage out, and then we should be able to get the drift shafts out. One. Shh. Bloody thing. What's going on here, Johnny boy? Johnny boy? Pardon me. That was a little bit rude. Right, I've got one drift shaft out. We'll get the other drift shaft. There we go, there's the other drift shaft. And then we should be able to just... Have I forgotten? I've forgotten a bloody screw, haven't I? What screw have I forgotten? What screw is left in? John? No screw. Ah, that one. That one. That one. I took it out halfway, and I didn't take it out all the way. It's because it's bloody rounded off and I give up with it, that's why. Right. There we go. One gearbox. Now we've got to take it apart, adjust the old gearages, and put it back together again, and then we can have a happy life. Everybody likes a happy life, and if you want a happy life, sometimes you just have to go with the flow. Ah, forgot about that one again. I always forget about that one. Lovely bloody job. I'll tell you what we're going to do while we've got it apart. I've got some grease. We'll stick some grease in there. Ideal for gears and pinions. Reduces friction and wear. Anti-corrosion. Yeah. I was using it for Vaseline on my chapped lips in the winter. And does a good job, you know. Of course, there's many uses for Vaseline, but we'll leave that to the gays. Well, let's take this out. Come on, John. Are you all right? Don't tell me I've got you. I'm not taking that one off. Are you serious? thought I could get away with that this time. But if you're being serious, I'm going to have to take that one out as well, and I don't like doing that. Oh. Thought I was missing the grub screw then for a minute. I thought, blimey, O'Reilly, is this a serious piece of equipment? But it turns out that it is. John! Yeah. Right, that can slippy slide out of there. I'll put a bit of grease on everything while I'm here because, well, it's been a number of years since this saw any grease. So, grease is important. Right, so, this is our... Ooh. That didn't sound very good, did it? So, what we need to do, third gear is, I think, 3.5, and fourth, we ain't got 4 gears, John, and second is a bit less. That's definitely bloody tight. Jesus Christ almighty. Right, I'm back. Where was I? We haven't done this one yet. So we'll do 3 on this one. We'll see what happens. I know what you lot are like. I know. So we'll turn it all the way in. Right, and there we go. 1, 2, 3, done. And then for this one, okay, here we go. Right, we're here now. This one we're gonna do 4.5. Let's make sure that it's tight. Yep. Go all the way in. That should be really hard now. Yeah, well, it does. It does work. 4.5. Come on, John. 1, 2, 3, 4, half. 4.5 turns. Those of you might want to make a bit of a note. The grub screws on this old gearbox are a lot stiffer than the ones on the new ones. That's the reason why the new ones do like to come a little bit loose from time to time. We have to ignore that because they're a little bit gay. That's a very nice bearing on there. Look at that. Woohoo! Johnny boy. Probably should put a little bit of does this one work? Yep. That's working, look. That's working brilliantly. Whether it's going to be any good, I literally have no idea. You can see the little grooves where it was changing gear for 20 years. Oh, interesting. Alright, so that one goes back in there. Where's the hole? There's the hole. So it's got to line up with that. That goes on there. That lines up with that. We get that little thing. We put that in there. And then we do that up. Should put thread lock on it. But no. You see, most people compare themselves and their lives with other people's selves and lives. And when you do that, sometimes you become unhappy because you want what other people have. That person's gone on holiday. I want to go on holiday. That person's got a new car. I want a new car. But what you don't realise is that person happy? Are you happy? A lot of the time people go on holidays and spend money and do things to try and make themselves happy because they think that will make them happy. They buy a new car because they think that will make them happy. But what have they had to do to buy that new car? They've had to take out a finance agreement, which means they're now paying a debt for a long time. And in some cases, they don't even end up with the car at the end of it, if it's a lease. Plenty of grease all over these teeth. That should make things a little bit more slippery. Might even make it work a bit better. A little bit less friction in the old gearbox. Just get my Christmas t-shirt. There we go. Lovely, lovely. Merry Christmas, everybody. Right. Let's jam up this sandwich a little bit. Put a little bit of that on there. That's the power of the internet these days as well. It used to be, if a company wanted you to buy their product, wanted you to spend their money, no, your money, they'd have to entice you into their shop and arrange things to make you want to buy things. Make other people buy the things so that you see other people with the things and they want the things. These days, we're faced with forceful advertising, very forceful and misleading advertising a lot of the time. It's a very crazy world. Just make sure we stick a load of grease around now. That'll spin round and get hot, fling around inside the box and make it be perfect. Just do up a couple of screws so that it doesn't fall apart, and then I'll put the, there goes the brake discs, or one of them at least. I remember these. An example of old-fashioned advertising, because back when, in 2002, when this was released and these came shortly after, there wasn't any internet. Well, there was, but it was minimal, and I didn't have it. The only way I knew about these brake discs was because they had them in the VHS. The video that come with the 21. At the end of it there was a few upgrades. They said you can buy these upgrades. You can buy reverse, you can buy a 3-speed gearbox, and you can buy these metal disc brakes. And it showed the car doing endos. And I said to my mum and dad, I want them. And they were £50. And they said, you can't have them, son. They cost a lot of money, son. So I said, okay, no problem. My dad said, when the brakes wear out, you can have new ones, and maybe you can have them upgrade ones. I said, okay, Dad. I used it until they wore out. They wore out alright. There wasn't any brakes left. But I still didn't get the disc brakes. They were too expensive. £50. £50 for a set of disc brakes for an RC car. If it was for a real car that actually mattered, it would be different. But then, when I became a teenager and I got my first job, my apprenticeship as a welder, fabrication engineer / welder, all of a sudden I could afford £50 for a set of disc brakes. So when I was 17, I bought these disc brakes. And they're very good. Well, they were. Endos galore. The original brakes that came with this, they would stop it very well, but you couldn't really do an endo or a stoppie or whatever you want to call it. Didn't really work that well, because I wanted what everybody else had. I wanted to be able to do endos. I wanted the metal disc brakes, not because they were metal disc brakes. I wanted to do the endos that they were doing in that video advert. And it stuck with me all the way until I was 17. Obviously, by the time I was 17, we had better internet, and YouTube was about, just about, only just. It was very infant. So I was able to see videos that people were putting up when YouTube was a lot more wholesome, not as evil as it is now. It was a lot more wholesome, and I was able to see the videos that people were putting up of their Savage 21s and 25s doing endos, and I wanted that. Was it worth it? Not really. The original disc brakes were fine. They stopped the truck. There was no trouble with them. Didn't need to replace them. Well, they did wear out, as I explained. There was nothing left of them, but did I need to buy more expensive, better ones? No. I could have just bought an original, a proper standard disc, single disc, and replaced it, and probably some pads, and that would have been perfectly fine. But I wanted what other people had. While I'm here, I've replaced every stripped and rounded off screw. No, I haven't. That's a complete lie. I'm just trying to put the old ones back in again and see what happens. Most of them are going back in. A lot of them weren't even there to start with, and some of them they just go round and round and round, so I just push them in and then leave them to it. But we're away. That's the main thing. We're getting there. I'll put a couple of screws in the bottom. Now, whether this is going to work, whether this is going to change gear after this operation, it's anybody's guess. We'll find out one day. It is quite fun doing an operation on your Savage, but only if you've got a little bit of spare time. But then again, that's with anything. Doing an operation on anything is only fun if you've got the spare time. Nobody likes rushing around, you know, oh, I've got 10 minutes and oh, I'm not going to be able to finish it, I've got to go and do whatever. That's the way the modern life goes. That's what society leads us to believe is normal. Your life, your time, nobody has got the right to waste your time, and nobody has got the right to tell you what to do with your time. But these days society says you must do this with your time. We only get a certain amount of it on this earth, unless you believe in reincarnation, which I do. Mostly back together now. A few little things. Screw that holds that tank bracket on's a bit of a pain. It keeps coming loose. I might have to do it up extraordinarily tight one day and then just go, oh, that's tight. There we go. Couple of our clips, and then we can call that done. For now, at the very least. Right, that's done. That's connected. One Savage 21 sorted out. Need to get a proper cable tie on the air filter. Ah, there's a little bit of rubber. There we go. What's next on the list? I do wonder. Well, been doing a lot with gearboxes lately. It seems my life at the moment consists of booming gearboxes, particularly on nitro cars. But it's what it is. One of the bolts, little bolt here, it's a screw really, stripped out. One of the ones that holds the plate in that the engine sits on, but the threads are stripped, and the right thing to do would be to tap it out a bit bigger, put a bigger screw in, but I can't be bothered to tap it. But I was just looking through my little, I've got several jars, and then what I do is I save washers, Jubilee clips, nails, screws, bolts, nuts, anything really. There's all sorts in them. I've got several different jars, loads of them, coffee jars, you know, these metal ones, you know, all full up with old screws, nuts and bolts. I never ever ever throw a nut, a bolt, a screw, a nail away unless it's had it. But amongst all of them, I can't find one that fits in there. I was going to find a bigger one and try and jam it in, but I can't find one, so it's just going to stay without a bolt in it. It's alright, it's got one holding it in. I think there's one thing that you should remember in life, yeah, whether you apply it to RC cars or whether you apply it to anything else. That is that you can do anything, yeah. Particularly since this is an RC channel, we'll, you know, apply it to that. You can mend anything, or even strimmers, you know. This is a strimmer that I bought for my dad because his one broke and I couldn't mend it. I can't do everything. So I bought another one, needs a bit of work to the carburetor. I'm waiting for bits to come in, but I can do it. The way that I see it is, and the way that I think you should too, is if somebody else can do something, Somebody else can do it, so can you. With your Nitro car, yeah? You can't get it to run properly, you can't get it to start, maybe something's broken, it won't change, I don't know. But if somebody else can get their ones to work, you can get your one to work. If somebody else can learn the reasons why it won't work, you can learn the reasons why it won't work. That's the way I look at it. That's why I don't take anything to anybody to mend for me, because the way I see it, if they can do it and I'll pay them to do it, why don't I just do it and pay myself with the reward of not having to pay them? And also I learn something while doing it. That's the way I look at it. And don't compare yourself to other people. Be the best copy of yourself, not a bad copy of somebody else. Your life isn't their life. I think these days in modern society, particularly teenagers, but most people, need to realise that what they see isn't true anymore. It's not like it was 30 or 40 years ago, where what you saw with people was more or less the fact, the way that it is, but these days it isn't. If you see somebody with a fancy car 30, 40 years ago, it usually meant that they were doing fairly well for themselves and they were able to buy themselves a fancy car. These days, all it means is they've got themselves up to debt in eyeballs. Look after yourselves, you lot. Take care. Enjoy yourselves, because we're all on a roller coaster. And it's going to be as good of a roller coaster as you make it. So make it a good one. I'll see you later.